Good afternoon. It's been just over 24 hours since the verdict in the Trump hush money trial was announced, where a jury found him guilty on all 34 charges.
Yeah, the former president says he will appeal his conviction as the political shockwaves are felt throughout the country. We begin our coverage with Michael George, who's reporting from outside Trump Tower.
Former president and now convicted felon Donald Trump said his team will appeal a New York jury's guilty verdict as he railed against the judge.
We're going to be appealing it on many different things. He wouldn't allow us to have witnesses. He wouldn't allow us to talk. He wouldn't allow us to do anything.
Trump was convicted on all 34 counts of falsifying business records related to a payment his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, made to adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 election to keep her quiet about an alleged sexual encounter. Legal experts say her salacious testimony may be one area the defense targets for appeal.
The defense asked for a mistrial right after that testimony, and I think we can expect to see that again in an appellate brief.
As he has throughout the trial, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee once again claimed without evidence the case was orchestrated by his political rival.
This is all done by Biden and his people.
President Biden, who'd remained silent throughout the trial, pushed back Friday, noting it was a state, not federal case.
Donald Trump was given every opportunity to defend himself, and it's reckless, it's dangerous, it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict.
Sentencing is set for July 11th, just days before the Republican National Convention. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Now, some voters are sharing how this conviction may or may not change what they do in the ballot box come November for the presumptive GOP presidential nominee and President Biden. A lot is riding on what voters will do in those closely divided swing states. Willie James Inman has more from Washington.
As many voters weigh their 2024 presidential choice, some are weighing in on the Republican candidate's felony conviction.
Finally, I feel like a little bit of justice is served.
We have to stand by our president right now in our country. If we don't, we're going to lose everything.
Opinions about the trial seem divided along party lines. With a tight race between former President Trump and President Biden, November's election will likely come down to 7 states that could swing to either candidate. Voters in those states who spoke with us say the guilty verdict does not change their vote.
If I could do cartwheels, if he got convicted, I would do cartwheels. I'm so ecstatic that people came through.
I'm still voting for Donald Trump. I think this whole thing has been a mockery. I'm embarrassed for our country.
Polls conducted before the verdict found only a small percentage of Trump supporters said they would reconsider their vote with the conviction. So far, new polling is limited. Pollster and consultant Frank Luntz.
No evidence that people have moved away from Donald Trump. No evidence that they've moved towards him. The undecided just maybe giving Joe Biden another look. It's too close to call.
Luntz says in the end, the election could hinge on undecided voters deciding they do not want to vote for a convicted felon. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Washington.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. But the real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man.
The only voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and the jury has spoken.
As previously mentioned, the judge has set Trump's sentencing for July 11th, and that's 4 days before the Republican National Convention. Trump faces up to 4 years in prison, but he could be given probation with no prison time. Our Daryl Huff has more reaction from local lawmakers regarding this conviction.
Well, based on some of the phone calls and text messages that I've received today, many people are just disgusted with the outcome of the verdict. They don't agree with it, and this is kind of people who are leaning on both sides.
That was a lot of people that felt strongly about his guilt. So we'll see how it plays out. I know people all across the country are going to be wondering whether or not he is, still fit to be the Republican choice. I've got a lot of Republican friends, many of whom are concerned about this circumstance.
At its core, the Republicans' post-verdict defense of Trump challenges the integrity of the jury system, with local Republican leaders echoing Trump's claim that the Manhattan hush money trial was unfair, with the prosecutors, judge, and even the jurors suspected of being tools of the Democratic Party.
Well, it's a sad day for America. In our opinion, this is just proof and evidence that we are living in a banana republic. We have one party in control, in power, who's using the justice system to persecute their enemies politically.
For members of Congress, which was attacked on Trump's behalf after the last election, the passion behind Trump and the belief he is being politically persecuted leads to fears of more violence.
It was a good day, it was a good verdict, and really hoping that there will be calm in D.C. when we go back next week. As a country, we've got to be better. As communities, we've got to be better. That when someone breaks the law, they need to be held accountable. This is justice. We don't take to the streets.
Although Hawaii state law does not allow felons to hold office, that doesn't apply to federal races. So no matter what, Trump's name will still appear on the Hawaii ballot. Reporting from the state capitol, Daryl Huff, Hawaii News Now.
President Joe Biden has become the first incumbent president to run for re-election with a unionized workforce. A labor agreement for workers at his Delaware campaign headquarters went into effect last Thursday. It covers things like wages, time off, child care reimbursements, and severance. Right now, the agreement covers nearly 100 workers, but that will grow as the campaign picks up steam. The Biden administration and Campaign Workers Guild issued a joint statement praising the contract. Biden has repeatedly touted his support for unions. Field organizers working on his initial run in 2020 unionized in May of that year. In local news, the Boy Scouts of America has settled a civil lawsuit with the family of a Hilo boy who died at a scouting event in 2022. 11-year-old Manny Carvalho was struck in the head by a bullet from an AK-47 that was left unattended at Camp Honokaya. He was there with Troop 19 when a child of the gun's owner accidentally fired the gun. Terms of the settlement are confidential. Hawaii News Now has learned that the aunt of Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard was stabbed and beaten to death in Samoa. The alleged killer is charged with murder. Police say prominent Samoan playwright Papali'i Sia Figel killed 78-year-old Caroline Sinavaiana. Police say prominent Samoan playwright Papali'i Sia Figel killed 78-year-old Caroline Sinavaiana Gabbard on Saturday at Figel's home. The 57-year-old was initially charged with manslaughter, but police upgraded the charge to murder after finding incriminating evidence, including a small knife and a hammer. A motive is still under investigation, but media outlets report the two women were colleagues and friends, and that Dr. Gabbard was a mentor to Papali'i. Figel allegedly told a friend what happened and turned herself into police. The victim was the sister of former state senator Mike Gabbard. She was a historian, environmentalist, and retired UH Manoa professor, where she became the first person of Samoan ancestry to become a professor at an American university. Figel is due in court next month. President Biden today said that Israel had proposed a Gaza ceasefire in exchange for the release of hostages and called on Hamas to agree to the new offer. NBC's Josh Lederman reports from London.
President Biden described this Israeli proposal as a new offer to Hamas and said that it would mean the end of the war. Now, that is significant because as recently as this week, Israeli officials have been signaling that they expected this war could last through the end of this year. And what the White House says Israel has offered is a three-phase deal. In the first 6-week phase, Israel would withdraw its forces from the major populated areas of Gaza, and there would also be a total ceasefire during that time, as well as the exchange of some Israeli hostages, namely women and elderly hostages, in exchange for a significant number of Palestinian prisoners. And then during those 6 weeks, the idea is they would negotiate toward the second phase, which would see the full removal of Israeli troops from all of Gaza, the release of all remaining living hostages, and a permanent end to the war. And then during a third phase that the White House says is part of this deal, there would be massive reconstruction of Gaza, schools, hospitals, and other facilities that have been destroyed during this war. Now, this is very far from a done deal. We have not heard anything from Hamas yet, but we have heard from Israel's government. In their characterization, they say that what they have put on the table also stands by Israel's principle that it will not end this war until the entire ability of Hamas to run itself as a government or a military organization is ended. And so it's unclear whether Hamas would agree to something that would ultimately mean its demise. Josh Letterman, NBC News.
French authorities said today that security forces arrested an 18-year-old Chechen in Saint Etienne earlier this month, suspected of planning an attack at the city's soccer stadium during this Summer Olympic Games. Officials say the suspect was inspired by the Islamist ideology and that he wanted to attack spectators, but also security forces, and die as a martyr. Officials say this is the first foiling of an attack planned in connection with the Summer Olympics. Less than 2 months before the Games, France is on its highest state of security alert. The attorney for Maui Fire Battalion Chief Sean Rogers says his client is the victim of baseless child sex assault allegations. An indictment accuses the 52-year-old of sexually assaulting a girl starting when she was 11 or 12 years old for a period of years. His attorney issued a statement yesterday saying in part, the allegations are 100% false and Sean is innocent. The rush to judgment, presumption of guilt, and comments made on social media are unfortunate and alarming. The Maui community should be outraged that a person's life could be irreparably destroyed based on horrendous allegations that the authorities failed to thoroughly investigate. The attorney goes on, saying these baseless allegations were already discredited last year when the family of the accuser abandoned their pursuit of a restraining order against Sean after being ordered to turn over evidence that would have clearly and unequivocally proven Sean's innocence. Sean looks forward to being exonerated. Meantime, victims' advocates are speaking out and encouraging families not to ignore signs of trouble. They say this type of crime is more common than they realize.
1 in 4 girls by the time they're 18 will suffer some type of sexual assault. 1 in 6 boys.
When we talk about being mandated reporters, I feel to some degree it's a moral obligation to care for one another, to care for our next generation of people who are going to be running our world.
Rogers was released from custody after posting $150,000 bail. He's due back in court on June 12th. Honolulu police are looking for the suspects who intentionally started 2 separate fires in Waianae. The first happened Wednesday night at around 10 o'clock. We're told the suspect started a fire in an abandoned building. The second case happened around 4 a.m. yesterday. The suspect intentionally set a fire, which damaged private property. We're told it was around $20,000 in damage. No word on possible suspects. The investigation is ongoing. Some hope for lower bills for the estimated 150,000 condo owners in Hawaii. As Jolani Martinez reports, there will soon be more financial resources for high-rise communities.
The Ward area is almost unrecognizable. The old Ward warehouse and Ohanahale marketplace were torn down to make way for luxury condos. And with more units being built, the state is hoping to bring some relief to owners and tenants with new laws that could help ease the fees.
Even for my condo that I own, the maintenance fees are almost equal to the rent that you collect.
Raylene Tenno from the Hawaii Council of Community Associations says she and many other owners are scrambling to pay huge insurance increases.
We've already planned our budgets for the next year, and then we get this notice that it went up that high. So it just kind of blew the budget out of whack. So everybody was facing huge maintenance increases because of that insurance.
But help is on the way thanks to several bills signed by the governor Thursday. One offers government loans to help condo buildings make improvements such as fire sprinklers and pipe replacement. Another bill lets individual condo owners invest in a fund to finance solar, rooftop panels, and batteries.
For people who live in homes that can't afford to pay for those systems, or who can't even get conventional financing for those systems. The people who receive these rooftop improvements will repay that loan over time through their real property, through their electric utility bill.
Well, the new laws are a step in the right direction.
Richard Emery works for the nation's largest condominium management company. He says about 70% of the condos in Hawaii are more than 40 years old.
So all of these components are starting to come due for need of replacement or upgrade. And certainly the cost of energy is a major concern.
It's going to be good in the long run, especially when you use energy efficient projects. Like elevators, when they have to do their elevator upgrades, it's always going to involve electrical upgrade.
The other bills signed into law will streamline the paperwork for buying a condo and modernize procedures for condo meetings and voting. Jolani Martinez, Hawaii News Now.
The nation may soon have another RSV vaccine in its toolkit ahead of the fall respiratory disease season. The FDA has approved Moderna's RSV vaccine for people 60 and older. This will be the third FDA-approved vaccine for RSV and the first mRNA vaccine. Moderna says the approval was based on clinical data that showed it was nearly 84% effective at preventing the virus about 4 months after getting the shot. While many recover from RSV, it can be particularly dangerous for older people. The CDC says between 60 and 160,000 older adults are hospitalized with RSV every year, and up to 10,000 die from it. The CDC will need to sign off on the vaccine before shots can go into arms. An advisory panel to the agency will vote on whether it should be recommended for use at a meeting on June 26th. All right, let's take a live look outside at Washington, D.C. The time there, about 6:17 at night on this Aloha Friday. The temperature is 76 degrees. You can see the Washington Monument there, the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, and a beautiful sunset on the way there in our nation's capital. Drew Davis is going to have your full forecast after this quick break, plus a look at sports when we come back.
Well, happy Aloha Friday, everybody. Meteorologist Drew Davis filling in for Guy Hoggy this morning. Let's take a look at what we're expecting heading into the weekend. We've got beautiful weather expected across the island chain, mostly sunny today, a typical weather pattern, breezy trades, and we are expecting an uptick in showers as we get into Saturday and Sunday, and there's a south swell heading in this weekend. This is what you can expect in terms of temperatures. We're going to be a little bit warm today, getting up to around 85 to 86 degrees. Could be a little bit hotter than that in direct sunlight. Let's go through your island by island forecast really quickly. Over on the Garden Isle, isolated showers, partly sunny out there. Trade winds are the story going forward. Here on the Gathering Place, 85 degrees for a high temperature in Honolulu. Some isolated showers possible afternoon. That's true over on Maui County as well. Mostly sunny and some isolated showers with some wind gusts getting closer to 25 to 30 miles per hour. On the Kona side of the Big Island, isolated showers afternoon. More variable winds out of the southwest and southeast. Northeast trade winds over near Hilo. Scattered showers and partly sunny, and the northern parts of the Big Island, scattered showers as well. Again, with some wind gusts getting a little bit stronger than that. Our first alert futurecast shows some more moisture moving in throughout Saturday and Sunday. You can see more moisture, a lot more green as we're getting into Sunday. There's a weak upper level low pressure system that's going to be moving across the state as we go into Saturday and Sunday. So you could see some more showers. It's not going to be for everybody, and it's not going to be heavy downpours, but you could see some rainfall into the weekend. We are tracking a south swell as we're going into this evening. That's going to be true throughout Saturday and Sunday as well. You can see on our swell forecast, this is going to be moving in. There's a storm in the South Pacific sending a lot of energy our way, and a northwest swell that's going to be arriving as we get into Monday and Tuesday. You can see this is Monday around noon right there. Your first alert 7-day forecast. Again, beautiful weather going forward, but as we go into this weekend and next week, we've got a better chance for showers. Breezy conditions are sticking around.
Hey, happy Aloha Friday, everyone. Davis here in the Digital Center with your weekly sports update. Now, one of the best seasons in nearly 20 years. UH Baseball wrapped up their season last weekend and ended on a high note. In a close matchup against the Cal State Fullerton Titans, the Bows ended up winning 5-2, wrapping up a truly remarkable season for them. They ended the year 37-16, winning 26 of those games at home. And the success didn't end there. 7 of the players won all Big West honors. 3 of them won second team, and the other 4 received honorable mentions. It truly was a remarkable year for the team as they ended off in 3rd in the Big West with UC Santa Barbara in 1st. Now, congrats, guys. That truly was an amazing season. Now, moving on, we got to talk about volleyball. Now, it's not being played in an arena, but actually at a mall. That's right. The Hawaii Club Volleyball Championship is set for this Saturday, and it's going to be held at Windward Mall. Now, this is the first time that it's ever been done before, and the mall is going to be transformed into a volleyball court. That's right. The court and nets are going to be installed after the mall closes tonight, hours before the start of matches Saturday morning. The matches begin at 10 a.m. tomorrow, and admission is free. It's going to be a super fun event, so make sure to go and check it out. And finally today, the Olympics are right around the corner coming up in July, and the Olympic flame has made its way through Normandy. The torch was carried in a small boat and landed on Omaha Beach almost 80 years to the day after some of the 160,000 Allied soldiers, including Americans, landed there on D-Day. Now, the relay continued to ease. Some 1,500 torches will be used for the Olympic relay from May 9th to July 26th, with another 500 to be used in the Paralympics relay. Some 11,000 torchbearers will play their part in carrying the flame to its final destination in Paris. And the Paralympics run from August 28th to September 8th. Now, it's a really exciting time for sports and here in Hawaii and across the nation. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to stay tuned for our HNN Overtime podcast. We release it every single week, so make sure to check it out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Davis. Happy Aloha Friday, everyone.
Time for some good news. Honolulu has a new sister city, Shibuya, Japan. A signing ceremony took place in Shibuya at the Hawaii Expo, and Mayor Blangiardi and Council Chair Tommy Waters signed the agreement at Honolulu Hale. Blangiardi says it symbolizes the strong bonds of friendship and cultural exchange between the two cities. This is Honolulu's 36th sister city relationship, the 10th in Japan.
A 12-year-old from Florida beat 244 others Thursday night to win the 96th annual Scripps National Spelling Bee. Bruhat Soma is taking home a $50,000 prize in addition to a big trophy, a reference library from Merriam-Webster, and other prizes. Soma secured the top spot after the second ever spell-off. That's where the top 2 contenders spell as many words as possible in 90 seconds. 12-year-old Faizan Zaki from Texas spelled 20 words, while Soma powered out 29. Soma said he was really excited and he practiced very hard in the past year to prepare. And in the spirit of Spelling Bee, I want to pop quiz Ashley here. I've got some words. She's not going to look at the screens or anything, and she hasn't heard them. So play along and see if you can spell.
This is going to be terrible.
Ashley, your first word here today is mellifluous. Mellifluous. You can also ask for parts of speech and definitions.
Definition.
Definition is having a smooth, rich flow or filled with something usually sweet.
Mellifluous.
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 I'm going to put the word up for the people at home.
Okay, one more time.
Mellifluous.
Mellifluous. M-E-L-I-F-L. This is so bad. O-U-S.
Unfortunately, you forgot a second L. A second L.
So close.
Let's go to another word here.
I'm proud of myself for that one.
Bibelo.
Say again?
Bibelo. And you have about 10 seconds. Bibelo.
B-I-B-B-I-L-O.
B-I-B-E-L-O-T. You know, we had 6 words lined up. She only made it through 2. None of them were correct, but we love you, Ashley, regardless.
So
Come back next week where we may or may not do this again. Let's end today on a live look out at Hilo. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Aloha.